What's going on, good people? It is the first edition to the start of March's chapter of the Pathways Book Club. Some of you know me, some of you don't. So my name is Mark Meyer. I'm the author and founder of Simplified Astrology Volume 1. It is an honor and a privilege to be here on behalf of Pathways Virtual Book Club, representing Pathways with a self-published book by yours truly. So before I even get into any of this, I just want to make sure you guys understand how much of a privilege it is to be here talking to you. I think a lot of people who know Pathways and have been into the store really realize how important it is to connect with people of similar energies and like minds. And a lot of you guys will relate to this. You know, you step foot into Pathways for the first time and that energy hits you and you end up getting a tool that you needed or something like that. And you just think, man, what I would give to work here. And then you just kind of get reality setting in. You realize they have a staff and everything, you know, may not necessarily need your help. So this is a dream come true, actually, to be able to work with Pathways in the virtual book club. So I do not take this for granted. Words can't express my gratitude. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me. I'm going to give you guys a quick introduction about who I am before we jump into the content of this video, because astrology is literally star language. If you check the etymology of the word, that's what it means. So it's a natural science, a natural study, and we can talk about it forever, okay? You better believe it. So we're gonna make sure we go to a foundational level. So like I said, my name is Mark Meyer. I'm the author and founder of Simplified Astrology. For the ones who are already a little bit hip, I'm a Leo Sun, Libra Moon, Virgo Ascendant. So do with that what you will. This book was written out of necessity. I've always been fascinated with astrology and the stars as a kid. I am a child of the stars. I remember growing up in the country with little to no light pollution and just looking at the stars and just being mesmerized about how vast the universe is, and intuitively just feeling that connection to the world outside of me. And a lot of you guys who stargaze know exactly what I'm talking about. So astrology is the oldest science in the world, y'all. You better believe it. Like I said, astrology comes from the Greek roots. Astro meaning star, logos meaning logic, philosophy, reason, syntax, structure, logic. So it's the way we communicate about the stars, or the way the stars communicate with us. So you understand a star is a higher being, it's a higher light. It doesn't use verbal language the same way we do. Everything in the world is energy. So we have to understand energy to work with astrology. The cool thing about astrology, which a lot of people don't know, is that it's very mathematical. It's very scientific. And when you look at the details, there's a lot more to it than just your sun sign horoscope and co-star. And we're going to get into that. So let me kind of break you down and take you through the journey of how this book manifested. So like I said, I've always been fascinated in astrology. I've been doing my own astrology for years. That journey starts with obtaining your natal chart. And that's what this video is about. It's the importance of the chart. I always knew I was a Leo, and I always resonated with it. I related to it. It makes sense. But once you finally get that chart, you realize there's a lot more to you than your sun sign. And there's more than just the sun in the solar system. So through astrology, you compartmentalize who you are, and you analyze different aspects of the psyche, the self, or the ego, or the individual. You put yourself into little boxes, and then you figure out which box goes into what spot of life. And then you can get a crystallized picture as far as how the planets affect you and what your role is in the cycle. So over years of studying books and buying courses and taking classes, I got a pretty good understanding of astrology and a good working foundation to do it for myself. So you guys also went through 2020. I don't have to tell you how much of a weird year it was. I got furloughed twice, like not just one time, 2 times. So the first time I got furloughed from my job and they said I wasn't essential, I needed to supplement my income. So I started reading charts for people and doing personal private lessons to help people learn about themselves through astrology. Went a lot better than I expected. People started loving them because, again, it's my Virgo ascendant. I'm very good at organizing and simplifying and removing things that aren't necessary. So I'm able to give people this gift very easily because that's my alignment. That's my gift. So the problem, y'all, there's a slight problem. I can only read one chart at a time personally. I can only do one private lesson at a time. So over time, the limiting factor of astrology lessons is my time. And I realized I would love to teach more people and I want to help more people. Astrology has helped me in nothing but great ways to learn myself and become more responsible and powerful. So how do I amplify this gift? Publication, you feel me? This is the manual on how to use astrology for yourself. So it'll take you from the scientific understanding of why astrology works on an energetic and a scientific level, how charts are created, what a chart is, what all the aspects of the chart are, how to use them, and how to do astrology for yourself and others. That's basically what the book is. That being said, it is a lot of information. It's about as simple as I can get it. So you got to take it in small doses and take your time with it. Astrology and the universe and the stars and your chart don't ever go anywhere. So it's very important, first and foremost, that you take your time with this and be patient with this and understand your natal chart, your astrology is a lifelong process. You'll always be studying your chart. Your experiences in your life are going to reflect in your chart and vice versa. The moment you take your first breath, you carry that blueprint of the whole solar system throughout your life. That's the energy that you carry. So we learn the chart and then we transcend it and we do better. But you got to know what tools are in your belt and what cards are in your hand so you can play the game. You feel me? It's pretty simple. So you guys pretty much understand why I wrote the book, what the importance of it is because astrology is a tool like any other tool. Its use is only limited by your understanding of it. So we need to know how to use the tool so we can actually get benefits from it, because it's 2021, it's the information age. The times of having information and spirituality and divination in these tools being kept from us and having them inaccessible, that stuff is dead and gone. So let's make sure we know how to use it. So let's just jump into the content of the video. Pretty long introduction, so thanks for bearing with me. Astrology 101. This is a natural science, like I said again. I use the word science emphatically because astrology aims to observe, it aims to identify, it aims to describe natural phenomenon. We're looking at the world outside of us in the world that we live on, the Earth and all the planets, the solar system. I hope you guys understand, to do astrology, you need a good astronomical background. Astronomy is necessary for astrology, not necessarily vice versa. Because astrology takes astronomy further and looks at how astronomy affects people on a personal level, how it communicates. Again, star language. How do we communicate with the planetary bodies and vice versa? How do they communicate to us? That's what we're looking at. So before we even study astrology, we need to have a good foundation on the mental level, y'all. We need to understand everything's energy. And you learn this in 8th grade in science class or earlier. Everything in the world is energy. There's nothing in the world that isn't energy. And if you look at that spectrum of light, you see that rainbow speck? That's the visible light. Takes up less than 1% of the spectrum. So you need to remember 99% of light is invisible. It's always been there. There's so much energy in the world that's not seen, but it definitely exists and it definitely affects you. You better believe it. Whether you know it or not, it's affecting you. So it pays to pay attention and expand your awareness, okay? Energy, Hermeticism, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. So within, so without. There's levels to the reality we live in, and you can find similarities through the level that you live in right now. So let's unpack that idea. As above, so below. Your physical body is your connection to the world outside of you. The world outside of you is your connection to the physical body. This is why astrology works. So let's take it back to science class again. You guys know your body is made out of atoms, subatomic particles. You've got a nucleus in the center. You've got protons and electrons. You've got this cloud and you've got this empty space. So you've got the protons and the neutrons and then the electron cloud. If you zoom out a little bit, y'all, this is oddly similar to the solar system, where you have the big mass in the center and you have the orbit going around. On all realms and realities, this is the way the universe works, in circles. Why do you think the planets are circular? Why do you think your chakras are circular? It's the same thing. Your solar system, your solar plexus, the system your soul created to incarnate in this body is the same thing as the solar system we live in. And you guys better believe it. That's what the principle of correspondence means. So the ones who are familiar with the chakra system and the human energy field, this book is going to blow your socks off whenever you start reading about the planets. I swear. So correspondence is a hermetic principle etched on emerald tablets long, long ago. There's nothing new under the sun. The ancients knew this, and this is why they were able to use astrology. So if we don't understand correspondence, we're not even doing it right. We're wasting our time. So just understand everything is connected. That's what correspondence means. Rhythm is also very important. You need to understand this to understand astrology. Everything in the world moves. Everything vibrates. And because everything is in motion, we can measure the motion and find patterns, okay? And the most important pattern that we need to be aware of is the Earth going around the sun. This takes 365 days. This is one Earth year. And by having an Earth year, we can clock the speed of the other planets and figure out how fast they go. And we use Earth time to measure their movement. You feel me? So every time you find a planet past Earth, like Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, asteroids, it's going to take them longer to make it around the sun. They have more distance to go. But we use Earth time to figure out how long it is, whether that's like a 12-year cycle or a 30-year cycle in the case of Saturn, or like a 250-year cycle in the case of Pluto. We measure it with rhythm, okay? Polarity is also a very important principle when it comes to astrology. So we need to understand, in reality, everything has poles, different aspects or measurements of one quality. And you can see this physically very easily when you look at up and down. You find two distinct measurements that are actually identical, but slightly different in degree. Left and right are the same thing. East and west are the same thing. Hot and cold are the same thing. It's a temperature with varying degrees and different poles. It's the same measurement. Each side, same measurement. So this is a profound insight in astrology because everything in astrology is circular, like I said. The astrological chart, the planet you sit on, the wheels in your body and your solar system, it's all circular. So when you remember polarity, opposites are identical, just varying in degree, you greatly expedite your learning process as far as astrology because you understand every sign or house has an opposite 6 spots away. And that opposite is actually identical. It carries very similar attributes. And this is your ticket to learning the other side, is just following the bridge and then figuring it out. I'll give you an example right now. So the first sign of the zodiac is Aries. Aries is I am. It's the cardinal fire, the ram, the ego, the head, and the individual. So if you flip the wheel over and go 6 spots away, you end up on Libra. You've got the scales, you've got balance, you've got relativity. Instead of just one person, now you balance it with the other. It's the same thing, but it's opposite. It's a different measurement of the same thing. Polarity is super important. And the last principle, as far as Hermeticism goes, so important. Don't ever forget this. Karma, cause and effect. It's the same thing. You will always reap what you sow. You don't always get what you want. You always get what you deserve. You're living your life right now because of all the choices you made up into this point. You better believe it. That's why you're here right now. Everything you've done, it's a fact, brought you right here, okay? You reap what you sow. You will always live out the effect of your causes, even if you don't know what the cause is. You feel me? It's very important. It's just simple math. It's a principle, and you can't change it. That's why we had to etch it on emerald tablets and pass it down to the posterity. You feel me? So that's our solid foundation. This is the mental gymnastics we need to prepare for astrology, okay? And now that you guys are on the same page as me, let's really break it down. And let's jump into why you need a natal chart. Because most people are familiar with their zodiac sign, their sun sign. They've read a horoscope. They've gotten an online horoscope, or they've flipped open a magazine and they've read their prediction. And it's been BS. You don't understand it, or it was vague. It maybe applied to you. But I promise you, if it applied to you, it did apply to everybody. So you understand it's kind of a logical fallacy to say that there's only 12 types of people in the world, because you've met people. You understand there's way more than 12 types of people. You better believe it, okay? And even if you're able to relate to your zodiac sign, you know there's more to you, okay? And I'll tell you why. So, how are the signs determined, and why is your sign your sign? That's a very good question. So, before we even get into astrology, this goes back to the rhythm of the earth and the sun. We need to understand the ecliptic so we can even understand why we have zodiac signs and a zodiac wheel to begin with. So, if you were to go outside and stare directly at the sun with your eyes, which you should never, ever, ever, ever do, you're going to have this imaginary line coming from the earth going through the sun, hitting the sun and going through it, okay? So what you need to understand, even though you can't see this, is on the other side of the sun, there's going to be a group of stars, a constellation. A constellation is a group of stars. It's a pattern of stars, and you already know a picture is worth 1,000 words. These stars have their own specific energy. The pattern has an energy. So the fact of the matter is, the sun gives us light and life and warmth and everything we can see and be aware of. So we're collectively pulling in the energy from the sun's perspective of the stars outside of our solar system, okay? Throughout the year, this is what's really amazing. Throughout the year, the ecliptic line touches 12 different signs, 12 different constellations when we go throughout the course of the year. Every single year, the ecliptic touches 12 different signs. And you probably guessed this is the zodiac wheel. The 12 signs that you're familiar with, Aries going through Pisces, this is the wheel it touches. So you guys know there's over 88 officially recognized constellations and Ophiuchus and all types of things that people are so confused about right now. But you better believe, and you can literally look at this, y'all. Use your eyes and go outside and see this. The ecliptic touches 12. This is the zodiac wheel, and this is why we do this. So that being said, the ecliptic tells you what your sun sign is because the ecliptic is directly tied to the sun. Let's say you're born March 20th. You're an Aries because the sun is transiting through the Aries constellation relative to the Earth's transit around the sun, okay? It's all relativity and it's all perspective. So you guys need to remember everything is energy and everything moves and vibrates outward. So the Earth is flying through space, everything else is flying through space and radiating energy. So we're all giving and receiving. So you need to look at where you're receiving from to understand what energy is coming through, okay? It's super easy, y'all. Like, you just got to have the right foundation. And some of y'all who have already read the book, I so appreciate it first and foremost, but you probably noticed that this is a very unorthodox approach to astrology, and you've probably never found this approach anywhere else before because this works. And I spent over a year of my time planning what's the easiest and quickest way to learn this and actually use it. That's why you start with the ecliptic. You got to start with the hermeticism and the mental gymnastics. So now you understand you are your sun sign because of your birthday. The sun is transiting through that constellation relative to the earth, okay? So what is the sun? The sun is that big ball of gas and fire that gives us all the light and the life, and everything that lives on the planet owes everything to it, okay? So that being said, correspondence doesn't lie again. The sun in your natal chart, the sun in yourself, this is your solar plexus, this is your ego, your individuality. This is how you see the world. This is the actions you take. It's the driving force. This is masculine expression. And I say masculine on not a gender level, but expression in pushing things out. It's that energy. So a lot of times you can identify with your sun sign. It's very easy because these are the things you do. This is the stuff that you see. This is your awareness. And that being said, other people can identify you as this because it's what you do. You guys better believe I'm doing Leo things right now, you know? And I digress, but my Mercury is also talking that Leo talk, you feel? So there's a lot more to you than that. So that being said, you are in that mode a lot of the time. So some people can guess your sun sign without knowing your birthday. It makes a lot of sense. But guys, there's a lot more to you. So check this out. So you understand at any given point, there's way more than the sun. We've got a moon, for instance. We've got Mercury, we got Venus, we got Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Theoretically, there's planet, not even theoretically, this is a fact, y'all. I'm not even gonna talk theories. There's planets outside of Pluto that we haven't discovered yet because technology is the limiting factor. Astrology is an evolving science. It's evolved many times up into this point, so you better expect it to evolve in your lifetime, okay? And be mutable, be adaptable, be changeable, because it's a natural science. There's no rules, but we gotta put our heads together and figure out what works, okay? That's really what it is. So we need to understand the purpose of the chart. The chart is the composite of the astrological elements. The moment you take your first breath, you carry that energetic blueprint of the whole entire universe in that moment throughout your life. It's the same principle of the holographic universe. And you guys are probably familiar, but you can read about it if you're not, because we're already at the 20-minute mark. So you carry this energy throughout your whole life, okay? What you're doing whenever you create a natal chart is you're compartmentalizing the solar system. So you have a two-dimensional wheel that shows where all the planets are, okay? In the center of your wheel is the Earth, okay? It's very important. So I want to make it abundantly clear, you can make a chart for many things and not just yourself. This is what a natal chart looks like if you are not familiar. It's a big jumbled mess with a lot of symbols and shapes and squiggles, but this tool is so simple when you break it down into its parts. So like I said, you can make a chart for yourself, you can make a chart for your pets, you can make a chart for a relationship, you can make a chart for a business, you can make a chart for a president's inauguration. You can make a chart for anything. Y'all, someone made a natal chart for the Popeyes chicken sandwich the other year. I'm telling y'all, like you can make a chart for anything. Some people, including myself, looked at Bitcoin's natal chart and made sure they had a good investment. You feel me? And a lot of people profited on that because Jupiter is well aspected in that chart. You feel me? You may not feel me, but we're gonna get into that. That's the whole point of the book club. So when you cast a natal chart, you are specifically compartmentalizing yourself, okay? So you're taking everything it means to be you and you're separating them into specific boxes and you're compartmentalizing so you can really understand what aspects you carry, how you use them, what areas of life they manifest. This is when the astrological picture begins to crystallize. And this is where the information is, y'all. And it's so much more important for us to understand how to do our own astrology rather than just pay astrologers time and time again to tell us to take their word for it. This is a natural science, so we should step our game up, y'all. So the first thing that you need to understand, which y'all already get, is that once you have a chart, you're gonna have a planet and a sign for every planet, not just the sun. You're gonna have a moon sign, you're gonna have a Mercury sign, you're gonna have a Venus sign, a Jupiter sign, a Pluto sign, Saturn. If there's a planet, you better believe there's a sign, okay? So these are all aspects of the self. And we're gonna get into them later because there's so many. So there's two basic parts of the chart, and this is preliminary to actually getting use out of your natal chart. So again, we'll use the completely filled up one. In this book, there are diagrams where we reduce it so you can build up and get the solid foundation. So amongst this mess, look very closely. We start with 1 in the chart, 2, 3, 4. This chart is divided into 12 spots, and these divisions are consistent in every chart. The first house is always going to start at the left and work its way under, start with 12 right above it. So in regards to astrological houses, you need to understand the natal chart is a two-dimensional tool that's showing the three-dimensional world, okay? This paper in this book is flat. The earth is not flat. I'm so sorry if I just broke your heart. It's not a flat earth, okay? So basically, because the houses of astrology represent space outside of the planet or locations in the sky, and our earth spins every day, 6 of the astrological houses are below the planet and outside of your view. 6 of them are in the sky, invisible to you, okay? And I'll show you the diagram again if that went pretty quick. And these houses are fixed elements, they don't move. So the bottom 6 houses are outer space below the earth. The dividing line in the middle is the horizon line. The sky above is the 7th through the 12th house. So these are locations in the sky that planets can fall into. And this is how we find your ascendant sign as well. Because we have our horizons listed here on the chart, and this is the specific location of your birth, by knowing where the east and the west horizons are, you can figure out what constellation rises and becomes your ascendant sign. So the first wheel is the houses, and that shows the rotation of the earth. Because there's 12 houses, the houses change every 2 hours, okay? That being said, we're all going around the sun, and the ecliptic is touching that zodiac wheel. Every day, every year, all the time. You better believe it. It's happening whether you know it or not. We're going around that wheel. So that being said, you're going to have all your planets going through certain spots in the zodiac belt, okay? And they all do it at different rates. That's the law of rhythm, okay? But you need to understand, because our planet is doing its little dancey dance, it's gonna spin every day. So in a natal chart, you're going to have every planet in every house every day. In your natal chart, you're going to have every planet in every house every day. I'm gonna say it again. Repeat after me, because the earth loves to spin. Every planetary body will make its way through every astrological house. So we're going to touch on what the astrological houses are to kind of expand your horizons on that Jupiter energy. And then I'm going to sign off, because the houses are ultimately the most important part of astrology, and ironically, the most overlooked. Nobody really likes to talk about the houses when it comes to beginner material. And this is why a lot of people spin their wheels with astrology and don't know what they're doing. And they are regurgitating information. They're trying to memorize things and they're still not able to use them. Okay. This is why. So the houses 1 through 12 are archetypes consistent in every human's life from birth to death. And it's not that grossly simplified, but you guys understand, if you can't explain something simply, you don't really get it. And language is a limited tool to begin with. So I'm giving you guys the simple words so they have the ability to germinate the way they're supposed to. So we can touch on them quickly because I could do this in 4 minutes or less. The first house, starting as your ascendant sign, the left of the wheel. We'll just look at the wheel, okay? First house is going to be the birth, okay? So the first part of being is being and realizing you're an individual. This is the ego part. This is your identity and separation from the world around you. Number 2, now that you got to have things. This is resources. This is food and money and stability and the things you personally need to sustain your life, and earning potential is in this house. Third house, immediate environment, communication, short-term travel, namely for work or education. Also associates, relatives, and people you associate with on a day-to-day basis. Fourth house, home life, the most unseen and insecure aspect of yourself, the roots, the foundation, very private. Fifth house, creative endeavors, joy, pleasure, the way you do your relationships, creativity and creative expression on every level of correspondence. Sixth house, this is your job or skill set. These are the things you get good at, the way that you take care of yourself and serve yourself and others. This is really cool, y'all, and this is where the law of polarity kicks in, so check this out. So every time you jump the wheel, like I said, you're going to find identical things in the opposite spot. So again, boom, let's start with the first house. Again, that's yourself, your individuality, your ego, everything it means to be separate in your world from everything. When you go to the 7th house, you're looking at relationships. Anytime you take yourself on that Libra scale and try to balance something and create relativity, anytime you create a ship with anybody, you better believe that's the 7th house. You're sailing on the esoteric waters to go somewhere. And every boat, metaphorically speaking, has duties and obligations. And you guys ever been in a canoe and try to paddle the opposite way someone else is paddling? You guys get what I'm saying. So 8th house, taking the relationship further. Now we're creating shared resources. This is the opposite of personal resources in the first or the 2nd house. Shared resources. 9th house, higher learning, wisdom, travel. It's the opposite of immediate environment, travel, and communication. Now we're leaving to gain higher wisdom and go see a different culture, or gain some knowledge and some wisdom and something that we can actually pass down or apply. 10th house, this is the spot that you find the sun at noon. This is the sun in its boldest and brightest. So this is the same energetic theme. It's you at your boldest and brightest, your career, your calling, your status. It's the opposite of the roots. The foundation you set is going to take you to your maximum potential, okay? This is what you want to be known for, what you're called to do. A lot of people who come to astrology need to look at only the earth houses, 2, 10, and 6. What are you supposed to do on earth? Check the earth houses. What are you trying to do to make money? What are you doing all day with your time? What do you want to be known for? Look there, okay? 11th house, the collective, the associations that you create, group identity, goals, dreams and wishes, ambition. So when we extrapolate personal creations, now we're taking it to another level with the people that we associate with. And teamwork makes the dream work. So we're about to make a dream work. You know what I'm saying? 12th house is the opposite of the 6th. So instead of looking at physical health, mental and spiritual health. And psychology, beliefs, spirit, dreams, self-deception, self-sabotage, the self, prayer, meditation. The 12th house is very deep. It's not even should not be limited with words. You feel me? It's very important. So when you understand what time you're born, you can cast an accurate natal chart and you can see where your planets fall into what house. So then you can start to see what aspects of yourself get expressed in what areas of life. And you need to understand every one of us is so uniquely different. We all have unique lives, and having this chart is the best way to start digging into it and looking at the specifics, because astrology is much bigger than horoscopes and CoStar and just check-in Pinterest. It's mathematical, it's scientific, and that being said, math and numbers, you can check them. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So if you want to check the math, hit up your friend, have them check it for you as well. Put your heads together and see what you can find out. So I hope you guys have learned something in this video. Stay tuned for the next edition. And thank you for joining the virtual book club. Again, it's an honor to be here. My name is Mark Meyer. I appreciate every single one of you who has gotten the book Simplified Astrology. You can go to Pathways and get the Pathways Book Club Edition signed by yours truly of Simplified Astrology. This book was designed to be the easiest astrology manual to this date. And I wrote this book in Drake mode. So if you guys don't know, the rapper Drake, when he makes music, he says, if I don't want to listen to this song, it's not good enough. So this book, I made it good enough to be my own personal reference. There's charts and tables and diagrams all created by yours truly to help give you all the resources in a convenient spot. So the book is available through Pathways. Make sure you stop by and get a copy. If you want a digital version of the book, meaning audio or ebook, simplifiedastrology.com. Thank you guys for your support. Have a happy Sunday, I believe is when you might see this. Enjoy your day, and I will see you guys pretty soon. Thank you so much.